Hello and welcome back to Facebook Live Thursday at Swift Automotive. I want to talk to you about the weather a little bit. We're going to talk about brakes today. As you've noticed, especially lately, today, perfect example, beautiful, going to be 80 plus degrees, blue sky. Tomorrow and Saturday, not so pretty, maybe hail coming through. As you noticed a few days ago, hail comes through. This is hail season. A couple things, make sure you got good wipers. You get into a big pouring storm, and if you can't wipe the water, you can't see where you're going. If you don't want hail on your car, avoid the dark clouds, or just keep your car parked in the garage. Other than that, you never know when you're going to get hit. All right, let's talk about brakes a little bit. We've got a couple vehicles in here we're actually doing brakes on, so it's a good time to talk about that. So I wanted to show you a few things. Basically, most people are driving around with noisy brakes. Everybody has noisy brakes because asbestos. It's very unhealthy for everyone, but it was great for brake pads. It used to keep everything nice and quiet. Well, since they've removed asbestos from that, we no longer have quiet brakes. So a lot of people just assume they hear squeaky brakes. There's nothing they can do about it, but you gotta make sure it's not down to the bare minimum. Let me show you what we're talking about. This is a brand new brake pad. This is the thickness you start out with. This is down to the bare minimum. And as you can see, if you look close, these four little dots right there are the glue that hold this together. So once that reaches this bare minimum part, you start to get down to where that may come apart. This pad, if you look right here, has a little sensor on it. It'll start touching the rotor that rides like this, and it will make noise to tell you it needs to be replaced. If you ignore it, even though this has a sensor on it, somebody ignored it to the point of where the pad disappeared. You can see the same four glue marks, but this one went metal to metal and ground and ground and ground till it destroyed the rotor. As you can see, this one has been dug into. It's not for this brake pad, but you can see how it's tore up. So this is how a rotor looks when we're going to turn it if it's thick enough to turn. So we'll measure the thickness here, and then we will resurface it. And we have a machine we're going to show you. A lot of times rust gets in, and you can see how much rust is on this rotor. Literally, part of the brake pad doesn't even touch the rotor anymore. So you lose braking there. This one, like I said, is the metal to metal. We've destroyed it. There's nothing we can do with that. You look at how much it's torn off. It's torn off some of this side of it. There's not enough there to turn. We end up buying a brand new rotor for you. This is a brand new one out of the box, so you can see what they look like when they come brand new. What happens when a rotor gets used and it's being run, they'll start to warp. They start out perfectly true, and as you're driving down the road, it's nice and smooth. This is a perfect example of what a good rotor should look like. So this side, if you see, is nice and smooth how it's spinning. When your rotors start to warp, it'll look like this side, and it'll warp, and you'll feel that in the brake pad. If you get excessive enough rotor run out or warpage in that rotor, you can actually feel it in the brake pad. And if it gets really violent, you can actually start to change lanes, especially at higher speeds. So it's crucial that we keep everything true and smooth, plus you get the best brake life. Let's show you what we're doing out here, and I'll show you what all that means. As you can see, Carl's out here doing one now. This is the machine we use to turn rotors, and we turn them on the car, so that way the rotor surface mounted to the axle is exactly what you have when you go down the road. We do have a machine out here that we can turn the rotors off the car, so certain ones that ends up what's happening, but this is the best way to do it because it will actually cut it to your vehicle, so we know it starts out smooth. When we use this machine, we're getting way more mileage out of those rotors staying true than we do with any other way of doing it. So bottom line, get your brakes checked, get them in here. If you hear a little squeak, don't just assume it's because we don't have asbestos. It could be that you're getting down to the bare minimum. We don't charge anything to check, give you a free brake inspection, tell you what's going on, make sure you're good life. Once we know you have 50% left, then we know how kind of mileage to tell you when to come back and see us. All right, this is brake day and hail day. Remember, if it's hailing outside, either lay on top of your car or pull it into the garage because that's your only choices. All right, thanks for joining us on Facebook Live Thursday at Swift Automotive. Talk to you soon.